Let's talk about the thalamus. First of all, I need you to know that the diencephalon is going to divide into 4 parts, specifically the thalamus, the hypothalamus, the epithalamus, and the subthalamus. However, we're also going to study about the metathalamus. Posterior to the thalamus, epithalamus is going to be present, and the subthalamus is inferior to the thalamus, and it is associated with basal nuclei which control the motor activity of the thalamus. And when we talk about the thalamus is related to the habenullar and posterior commissure, and of course the pineal gland. Now let's talk about the metathalamus. Metathalamus is composed of medial and lateral geniculate bodies which are posterior-inferiorly present. When we talk about the hypothalamus, then the hypothalamus is going to continue through the infundibulum into the pituitary gland. This is a crab, and he found an egg-shaped nebula. So let's navigate the way into the thalamus. So the thalamus is an egg-shaped mass of gray matter, and it is present on both sides of the cerebrum. So that is why we can say that it is bilateral, or it is 2 in number, and it is a relay center which integrates it into cortex, basal ganglia, brainstem, hypothalamus. It is present at the rostral end of the brainstem. Now let's talk about the boundaries of the thalamus. I have easy mnemonics for you, so it's really easy to remember. So please remember AI. Okay, so anteriorly, what do we have? We have the interventricular foramen. If you want to remember the posterior boundary, you can. So anterior boundary is going to be round and narrow. So what do we have medially? Medially, we have M3. So medial boundary is related to the third ventricle, lateral wall. And inferiorly, I have IT for you. So inferiorly, it is going to be related to the tegmentum of the midbrain. And what remains is posterior boundary. Posteriorly, it is going to be related to something with an SPS. So it is related to the superior colliculus. And posterior boundary is going to be broadened in order to form the pulvinar. Let's quickly go through the functions of the thalamus. So please remember CARS for that. It is going to control our consciousness levels and our alertness levels. So this girl here is very conscious, the alarm clock. So it is related to consciousness, alertness, recent memory, and sensory information. So voluntary movements are going to be controlled through the ventro-anterior and ventrolateral nuclei. The consciousness is going to be controlled through the intralaminar nuclei. Please draw the thalamus with me. So we are going to divide the thalamus into some boundaries. I'm going to draw a Y here. So this is medial part, this is lateral part, and this is the anterior part. So anterior part is going to be divided into, let's start from here. So D comes from and lateral posterior. Okay, now let's divide this like this. So what comes first? A comes first. So we have ventrolateral, and then we have VPL, and we have VPM, which is a ventral posterolateral and ventral posteromedial respectively. Ventral posteromedial part is not going to be visible. Okay, so here we have the medial geniculate body and the lateral geniculate body. Remember the subdivisions of the thalamus for MCQs only. So thalamus is going to be covered on the superior surface by stratum zonale. So S with stratum zonale, S with superior surface. And the lateral surface is going to be covered with EML, which is external medullary lamina. The gray matter is going to be divided by a vertical sheet of white matter by the internal medullary lamina. Let's talk a little bit about the connection. So thalamus is going to be connected to the cortex, and it is somehow going to make a circuit. So thalamus information is going to be sent to the cortex, and cortical information towards the thalamus. Thalamus is also an important relay station for 2 sensory motor axonal loops involving the cerebellum and the basal nuclei. The first one is going to be CRT-CPC, which is cerebellar tuberothalamic cortical pontocerebellar loop, and the second one is a CSP-TCL, which is corticostriatal pallidal thalamic cortical loop. Both are responsible for normal voluntary movements. Olfactory information is going to be first integrated at the lower level with the taste and other sensations, and it is relayed towards the thalamus from the amygdaloid complex and the hippocampus to the mammillothalamic tract. After the removal of the cortex, as we know, the cortex is related to the thalamus. So when we remove the cortex, thalamus can still perform crude sensations. The cortex is actually required for interpretation of the senses based on past experiences. For example, if the cortex is destroyed, one can still appreciate the presence of a hot object. So sensory cortex was destroyed. However, the appreciation of shape, weight, and exact temperature would not be okay.